Hey, we were just talking before the show about our various departments that we have behind the scenes, making everything run, like hair and makeup. Y'all are fired. Lighting, you're on suspension. Joke team, y'all can stay. You're doing great.
Yoga
Hey,
Chief is killing it.
yeah. Hey, my name is Dr. Asatara Bear. We teach this class every week. This is Introduction to Heart Rhythm Meditation. It's a method of meditation that comes out of Sufism, the Sufism of Hazrat Naik Khan. And I'm delighted to have my co-host with me here, Leah Schaefer.
Hi.
And so tonight's theme, we're going to talk about creativity and self-expression and how can meditation help with this sort of thing. We have some ideas. But first, we want to just do a kind of basic practice for anyone who might not be familiar with this, or even if you are, it's always good to go over the basics again. So, heart rhythm meditation starts with a good upright posture. You want to feel your center line. You want to feel that your head and your shoulders and your hips are all lined up, right? A lot of times we have our head too far forward, puts a lot of strain on things. Sometimes maybe we're a little too far back. I think in general, the problem is that we're like this, right? So we want to just lift, straighten, right? So this is a part of meditation where we want to be very energized. And we can do that just by the way that we sit, just by the way that I'm actually standing right now. But whatever it is you're doing, right? You have that uprightness, you're going to have more energy with it. So we want that with meditation. Then we want to tune into the breath. We want to make the breath deep. So feel your belly expand as you breathe in and feel your belly contract as you breathe out. It can be helpful to place a hand on your belly, feel that movement happening. And of course, this triggers your nervous system. It triggers your parasympathetic nervous system, which is the relaxation response. Rather than breathing tightly up in the chest, we shift down to breathing abdominally, diaphragmatically, deep in the belly. Now, then you focus on making your breath slower. Just extend the exhalation a little bit, extend the inhalation a little bit, so that you're breathing at a lower rate than you normally do. A little bit slower at first and slower still. Now, as you slow down your breath, you're slowing down your internal rhythm. We're doing that so that we can have time to explore the breath and time to explore the inner world. Notice, what is the energy of the inhalation? What is the energy of the exhalation? Deep, slow. We want to make the breath rhythmic next. So, rhythmic meaning the same rhythm, the same amount of time on the inhalation as there is on the exhalation. Now, there's lots of ways of doing this. Your breath sometimes wants to just be rhythmic normally, but we're intervening, we're checking on it, we're paying attention to it, right? Trying to perfect the breath. And we want to maintain a nice, even rhythm. And it's very common for the breath to be uneven. But this creates imbalances. So we want to even it out, at least for this period of time when we're really focusing on it. And we also want to make the breath hard. So to connect the breath with the seat of our feeling, our values, our principles, who we are, right? When you say, this is me, right? Where are you pointing to, right? Um, so we want to breathe with that. We want our breath to energize the core of who we are. And we want it to be rhythmic at the same time. Well, there is a sort of natural solution there, which is to feel the beating of your heart, to count those beats, to place them in a rhythm, so that the inhalation is the same number of beats as the exhalation. Now, maybe you have trouble feeling your heartbeat. That's okay. You can just lightly press like I'm doing right here. You could do it with one hand. You could place the palms on your chest. Sometimes one of these things will work where you're not feeling it right away. If you're feeling it quite easily, that's great. And if your heartbeat is a little bit elusive, that's okay too. You just use your imagination. You just count in your mind, right? It'll probably be pretty close because your heart is still beating, thank goodness, right? So if you're imagining it, good enough, okay? Now, if you're feeling it, that's good too, right? Your heart is a important organ, right? Important physical organ. Tuning into it is helpful, right? Connects you to your body, right, on a very fundamental level. Because the heart is also the source of all feeling, right? It's the place that you feel emotion. It also connects you to your emotional self, and it also connects you spiritually to beingness, to the one being. All of these things, this is what makes your heart so worthy of exploration. It's a world unto itself. Try to really energize it with your breath. Feel that your heart is taking in energy as you breathe in, receiving the life from all around, the love from all around. And as you breathe out, feel that your heart is expressing your deepest feelings in the way that is beyond words, in a way that is just vibe, just energy. Receiving on the inhalation and expressing, giving on the exhalation. Now I try to go a little bit deeper with your breathing. Really squeeze your abdominal muscles as you breathe out much more than you usually do. Just keep on breathing out and then breathe in once your lungs have been completely exhausted. Breathe in and feel how much more you can breathe in, how much more breath you can take in. Now, when you really breathe fully, you're going to have to use your whole breathing mechanism. It's not going to just be the belly anymore. You're also going to be filling up all the way to your collarbones. So we start with breathing in just the belly, right? But as we build the power of the breath, as we make the breath bigger, as we make the breath fuller, then we have to get everything involved, right? So your breath should be felt from your hips all the way to your collarbone. Big, powerful breaths. All right, we'll end our first session of meditation there. Hopefully, you've gotten a little feel for the basics there. Try that out, and we'll talk a little bit about tonight's theme, creativity.
Thank you so much, Asatar. It reminded me when you talked about your heart being such a worthy place of exploration. It reminded me so much of creativity and self expression and self creativity because it's like every time that we create, we are in essence kind of exploring ourselves and our life in a
Hmm.
different way, and being able to kind of see our hearts come into life in a different way, in whichever way that that might be. And then also I loved how you talked about um, like being just present and still, within yourself, because it's like already just your own presence, just your own atmosphere is already a part of your creative self-expression, because like you literally yourself, your personality, your character, your atmosphere is all part of the unique expression that is you. And so it's like you already succeeded by being alive.
Well
So
done.
well done.
Hey, first step.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, I'm super curious to hear more about, because you actually wrote an ebook on this topic
I did.
of creativity. So you have a lot to say about it, which I'm excited to hear. And so one of the things I was thinking about, like obviously, is like what are the obstacles that come with creative self-expression, right? What happens? And like I think for me, like the fundamental thing that will happen for me is fear of rejection. So it's like, even when I don't even know if I'm going to show anybody whatever I'm doing, like I'm like there's like this like invisible audience in my head.
Yeah,
And I'm like, oh God, what will they think? It's like, and it took me a really long time to realize that it's like that anxiety is there, like in and of itself. And so therefore it's like actually has nothing to do with what I actually create. It's like it's its own little fear that like exists regardless of how good the art actually comes out or the expression actually comes.
totally. And fear's a big one, fear's it really limits our voice. And, we say, well, it's not going to be good enough, or
Mhm.
I'm not worthy, or, we have all these excuses. And maybe we get detailed about them,
Yeah.
give all kinds of reasons for it. But it's like you want that kind of energy that breaks through the resistance,
Mm-hmm.
Some there's sometimes there is resistance. Um, so, of course, we have all these practices for breaking through that sort of thing, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And I find that too, honestly, just showing up, like just whatever your form of, creative self-expression is, like just showing up to that, regardless of the doubts, regardless of the fears, you'll eventually show yourself, oh, look what I look what I've done.
Look, but in a good,
What have I done?
we mean that hopefully in a good way.
But but the thing is like if you keep showing up and you keep doing your practice, whatever it is, whatever your form of creative self-expression is, if you keep showing up, it will naturally refine. Like that is the organic progression of things. Is like there will be refinement, and you will be able to make it come through more and more in a way that actually exemplifies the internal feeling that you're really trying to express.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's true. I mean, to me, it's like I always come back to the breath, and like what kind of breath helps you break through things, I mean, there's there's all of these practices that come out of yoga or that we associate with yoga, where you restrict the breathing, you know,
Mm-hmm.
like a ujjayi
Mm-hmm.
pranayama type exercise.
Yeah.
You create this restriction, this right.
Mm-hmm.
You're closing your throat, and then your breath experiences breaking through that obstruction, right? Your breath has to
Mm-hmm.
be strong enough to break, and it's your own restriction, right? So
Right.
you but still, right? I mean, you can it doesn't matter if it's your own restriction. I mean, life always giving you barriers to
Right.
break through, like the dam that, I don't know, burst through anyway or whatever. Maybe that's not a good metaphor, but
No,
you
no,
know,
I think that's a great way of thinking of it, because we honestly we do inhibit ourselves. Like inhibition is something that we do constantly on just a physiological point of view, and so obviously we're going to be doing that mentally and emotionally as well. And so like we inhibit ourselves, and whenever
right,
you're really in a state of flow of creativity, you are uninhibited in that moment because you're so absorbed in your art and your creation. And in that moment you are completely free, and that's what I experience, is like when that happens I'm completely free. But it's like you need almost at the same time as like the uninhibition like coming through, becoming uninhibited, at the same time it's like we need the limitation, we need something to prep against in order to have even like the playground with which to act upon. Like he talks about how the limitation of like our unique self, like your emotions, your heart, your body, this time in the culture, this time in the world is completely unique. And so therefore, like in and of itself, it creates an opportunity within that, like within that unique experience of life meeting you in matter at this very moment. And so you like whatever you create is going to be like part of life itself, because life will be able to see and experience itself through you.
yeah, yeah, and you, of course, is known for these archetypes, right? These kind of, or from these larger, like the spirit of the society as it is now, right? Coming through you, that kind of concept.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
and it's good to be aware that, like, there's a lot of things that we think of as our individuality that are so affected by and so conditioned by, our culture and all these other things, right? So, there's, we have so many influences on us.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And yeah, but I find like yeah, it's kind of like it's like twofold. It's like for whenever I'm blocked toward self-expression in any way, it's like that, like the fear of the rejection from the invisible audience. um that plays the biggest role, definitely. um but the thing is that it's like I don't know, it's like just a part of creation. Like that's a natural, like our limitation is such a natural part of creation that is like that's just how it is. It doesn't matter at all. And especially if you just stay like in a form of self-acceptance, like like if you stay in self-acceptance, it doesn't matter what anybody says about you. So
Well, let's hope we never plumb the depths of what everyone might say, but I, yeah, we can rise above. Maybe we won't. I don't know. Uh-huh. I know the having the courage to create, having the courage to be
yeah.
oneself, that is just tremendous. I mean, we're so taught to limit, we're so taught to inhibit, we're so taught to be less or to fit in, you know, and that's a lot of times. I mean, even our culture, which is said to celebrate individuality, only when it's convenient, like only when it falls into
Mhm.
like certain
Mhm.
acceptable parameters, right? Then
Right.
we'll celebrate it. But that's not, we can't be limited like that, right? We
Yeah.
are unlimited beings experiencing, this tangible reality, and um, but we can't be fooled into thinking that we're limited or fit in this box. Know,
Mhm.
um,
Mhm.
it
And but sometimes
doesn't
we
fit
fool
me.
ourselves too. It's like the messaging comes in so strong that we start to fool ourselves like, oh yeah, I'm super limited. And like all that self-doubt, starts coming in and blocking you from just being yourself, just like, being
Well,
free, honestly, just like free and being yourself. Yeah.
Yeah. There's like people always say be yourself, but what if your self sucks? That's the problem.
Jeez.
Oh, self doesn't suck, right? Not your
Yeah.
who you really are, right?
Yeah. Not the truth.
Not the truth of you. If you
Yeah.
feel like yourself sucks, you just don't know all of it. That's the way it is, right?
That's
If you knew
beautiful.
all of it, that should go on a new agey calendar right there. If you feel like
Yeah.
yourself sucks, you just don't know yourself well enough. That's
Yeah.
common, right?
Absolutely.
Knowing oneself is a great journey after all. So,
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
of course, we have no idea if this is helping you with your creative obstacles. We still continue to hope that it might.
Yeah. Well, and also, speaking of like sucking and suck, like, um,
Okay.
a lot of the best art comes from pain. It's like this, it's like a transmutation of pain, right? And so like that same thing can happen with negative self-talk or negative self-concept. Like you can transmute these things. That's the cool freaking thing, is that you are a co-creator of your life and you get to create your entire life. And so when you have these, negative self concepts, you can very much say no, and, and then like show yourself, that you are much beyond that limitation. Transmute it. Like you can show yourself that you can transmute it, and then we see that a lot with the transmutation of pain into beauty, through art. So.
Absolutely. Yeah. Let's see. Wait. So we have some comments here. Let's see. Hello. Hello, Miss Melissa. An infinite solo. Exactly what I needed to hear today. Excellent. I,
Yay.
and then, so very true. Without pain, there'd be no great art. I think that's true. Yeah. We need something to relate to, right? We like a story. We like something that has its highs and lows and, the grandeur of the human experience. And what would it be if it just jumped from success to success to success, right? Like,
Boring.
what kind of great story has that? No trials, no.
Dee dee.
Yeah, consider that the next time you go through some trials and tribulations, like, well, this is necessary for your story arc.
Right. This is so interesting. Right. Oh, yeah, it is true. We probably had a lot of that like over the year, like, innovation is born of necessity. Isn't that a saying? There
Yeah.
was probably a lot of innovation born of necessity this past year. Things changed so much. So.
Well, what a painful year too, and a year full of loss, and just
Hmm.
I think even those of us who were like relatively blessed to be less, let's say, less deeply touched by it. I think everyone's sort of traumatized, right? I mean, it's just such a huge event. I don't know. Uh,
Hmm.
I feel like it's going to take us a while to like grapple with it or whatever we did. Or maybe we'll just need to move on for now or something, right? But we,
Just forget
so we don't
about
talk about it.
it. Just- All right. So, shall we move into a meditation, or was there anything else you wanted to kind of bring to the table right this minute?
Let's no, let's do a meditation. Let's see
Okay.
if we can move some of this stuff.
Okay. Great. So go ahead, everyone. As you're ready, come into your posture. So, even even your meditation can very much be a creative process. So it's like, even right now, you've chosen where you're sitting, right? You're chosen where your special meditation place is. And maybe you want to add like some creative spice into that in the future of like, you know what, my meditation space, I'd really love to like, add something that's really gonna heighten the vibe for me in some way. What would that be? Right? And just by you showing up in this moment, just by you showing up to your practice right now, you are already organically in this process of refinement, this natural process of feeling, experiencing life moving through you, and you choosing exactly how you want to direct it. You're very much the director of your own play. And so when you're ready, start to deepen your breathing if you haven't already. So very deep belly breathing. And use your breath to create this sense of really creating uninhibition within your body. So what that would look like is finding any tension that you might feel and just letting that tension dissipate, letting your breath move through you even more. Imagine almost like life is moving through you like a river. And you want to just allow that river to move through without any kinks, without any blockages, without any obstacles for that life to flow through you, for that life to flow within. And you can practice that with your breath and this relaxation of any muscles that you don't need to be tensing in this moment. Maybe those muscles are in your face, your jaw, your eyes. Maybe those muscles are in your mind, your expectations. And as you're ready, while you're breathing this way, you can just stay here. You can really stay here and just work on broadening your breath, opening your breath through all the channels of your being. Or if you would like to, I'd like to ask you to continue that and then begin to focus on your heart. So your heart has this extraordinary light. See, the thing is like with the spiritual path, we talk a lot about, enlightenment, right? The thing to remember is that the light is already there. All that we're really doing is that we're so-called removing the lampshade from the light that's within us. We're removing the lampshade from the light in your heart so that the light of your heart can shine through you. So you can share your light however you want to. And I'm actually going to move us into a technique called the air breath. So breathing in and out of your mouth, a slightly opened up mouth. You're still going to have deep, full breathing. And as you inhale, have the feeling that you're inhaling into the very center of your heart, the very core of your being. Where is the core of your being? Where is it? Can you feel it? And then once you touch upon it, even if it's just slightly, take a deep inhalation right into the very core of your being. And then from the center of yourself, from the center of your heart, exhaling out in all directions. And especially finishing that exhalation, really squeezing your abdomen at the bottom of your exhale. Because with any form of self expression, your exhalation is going to play a very vital role. So you want to have all of this self expression available out, sharing it, sharing your heart, sharing your atmosphere, your presence with life all around you. Inhaling again into the very core of your heart, the very center of your being. Maybe even experiencing and feeling the light that is already there. And then allowing that light to shine out as you exhale, shining out in all directions. Maybe at first that exhalation stays very close to the chest. Maybe at first you can really only allow your heart to share itself like to your rib cage. Maybe it doesn't make it very far just yet. And that's perfectly all right. There's always another inhalation, and taking that next inhalation in, letting life breathe into you as you inhale from the core of your being. And then you, this unique expression of life, allowing your light to shine out as you exhale in all directions. And the air breath that you're doing right now is a very freeing breath. So I did that purposefully to just help you free yourself from any obstacles, any burdens, any expectations, any fears or doubts. Really freeing yourself by connecting to the all-pervading life, the life that you are already a part of. Expressing itself through you. In your uniqueness, the uniqueness of what your eyes see, what your ears hear, how your voice sounds. Your uniqueness allows life to learn about itself, to experience itself completely through your perspective and your unique perspective, and therefore your unique contribution, whatever that might be, is a gift to everyone. Because no other person can have the exact same self-expression as you. And you can almost get lost in this dance, like the way that a song can take you away, or the way that you can completely lose yourself to a piece of music. You can lose your sense of self by being so absorbed in this dance with life. that you can have a moment of experiencing true freedom, life uniquely expressing itself, sharing itself through you. And then just bringing it in, maybe placing your hands on your heart, maybe bowing your head slightly to your own heart, to your own being. Really feeling your heart as you do a few more breaths together with us. And just honoring however your heart might express itself, whatever might come up from the depths of yourself, from the depths of your own being. Honoring all of it. Honoring everything. All right. And then as you're ready, moving your body and opening up your eyes.
Well, I really felt it when, we got into that air breath and that sense of freedom, that just, that unbounded sense. Um, I mean, what a gift it is to feel that way. Like, I think sometimes you feel that way creating art. Sometimes you feel that way experiencing art, that, that somebody could just be this free and takes you with it, takes you with them. So I think that's very much this air quality, you know. Um, Air quality gives you that vision, so the air breath is perfect for that. And, like some of the themes we talked about before, having courage and, shining your light even when, oh, I'm not sure it's going to be received and whatever. I think of that as, the fire can be helpful, right? The fire breath. So, we have different practices which focus us more on that radiance and that courage and that, here I am, I'm shining, that kind of vibe, right? Because I mean, we deal with different things at different times, each one of us, and so there's different energies that appeal or that can be the complement to the energy that we have right now or might help us transform that energy, right? So I think, the amazing thing is that, I mean, we're energetic beings, right? So that's what we are. Why wouldn't we want to be able to play with the energy and turn it up or turn it down or tune it differently or transform it into something completely different, right?
Yeah, I like the playfulness in that. Yeah. Yeah, because it's like, because it's like we can take ourselves so seriously, right? And so at least I can. So, like, uh, and so, the playfulness, like the curiosity, like the innocence, like all those things can be extraordinarily freeing, you know? So,
Yeah.
yeah.
And then of course we need depth and we need that feeling, we need that pain, we need the connection, right? This is more like the water kind of energy, right? The water element, the water breath. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. It's like if you're, sorry, go ahead.
no, I'm just saying sometimes that's another issue that you deal with creatively, right? Like you want to really get deep into it, or maybe you feel like you're just on the surface, or that you need that feeling behind it.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's like it is such a beautiful thing to do with pain or with grief is to, it's like almost to allow, because usually those it's like the other side of the coin of love, you know. It's like you love really deeply, and then the pain of that is when you lose something you love. I mean, there's lots of different types of pain, but that's one of them. And
Yeah.
so it's like, if you, with the water breath, it's like you were letting that love move through you, and that's part of the reason that the pain can be transformed into beauty. Um, in those moments, is because it's like you're still allowing your love or your light to move through and out.
Yeah.
um yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And then there's that, like if we just finish with the elements, right? Then there's that earthly kind of energy, that steadiness, or that putting things to order, you know
Hmm.
like order is beautiful, like it has its qualities, or like balance, or symmetry, or rhythm, like these are good qualities to have in art. We want some of that, and sometimes we want to disrupt that rhythm, right? Sometimes we want something that is got a faster or a slower, right? So not to say these qualities are everything, right? There's not, it's just different energies that come out, or different things that might motivate one. um,
Hmm.
I've been seeing some beautiful found object sculpture where it's all about the placement of the objects, right? Putting it in its right place. They're not even changing the object. It's the context and the composition of it, right? So, there's a lot to be said for that as a creative act, right? Putting the right thing, the right place at the right time.
Mm.
Good skill to have.
Absolutely, absolutely. And then that reminds me a lot of, like, you wait till the fruit is ripened, because it's like
Mm.
it's also like a thing where you know, I sometimes I think that, creative self-expression on the most basic level is very much almost like practice, or even part of a life's purpose, right? It's like a life's purpose is like a feeling of like a really big creative self-expression, or like on a larger scale sometimes. But all forms of creative self-expression are part of that. And oh, I forgot what I was going to say.
But I think I'm feeling you though. Like we
Yeah.
need that, we need that to be fully human, we need that to be. It's like we can't just listen, we want to speak, or we can't just speak, like if we're that type of person, right? We also want to listen, and we have to have that exchange of energy. And I think that like when we say creative expression, it's like we're focusing more on this part of it, that goes out. um, and there's a lot that comes in, that quiet part, right? That taking in the experiences, the energy, whatever it is, right? That allows you to then create, to transform, to make something new.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's like that taking in process. Like sometimes it's like you do want to hold on to something for a little while before you try to bring it out. Like you were saying, like placing it in its right time and its right place. And it's very much like waiting for the fruit to ripen. But the thing is that we're all naturally a tree. So like, we are all naturally producing fruit, just because that is our being. It's not something we have to earn. I don't have to earn to become a fruit tree. Do you know what I mean? It's like this total natural process. It is already who you are. So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Right.
And holding that time. See, I used to get so caught up in I was like, this is really precious and I don't want anyone to mess it up, so I'm not going to show anybody. Do you know what I mean? It's like these like precious feelings. But then you're really kind of like it can get too much to where you're not allowing it to come out. So it's like when you have the fruit and it's ripened, the best thing to do is like invite somebody over and share that fruit with them. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Sounds like a real party.
Yeah, this is how we get down.
You share the fruit of your being. I mean, what could be what could be sweeter, you know?
That's so true.
Mhm.
Yeah. Oh.
Don't just give the rind out, you know?
Yeah. So I think we have time for another meditation. Would you like to guide us, Asatar?
Sure, yeah. So, I mean, I'm thinking about this theme of the the taking in of energy and then the holding of it until it's the right time and the right place. And um, we were talking last week. Remember, we were talking about the Zen and the Art of Archery book, and
Mm.
it's talking about like when do you release the arrow? This being like this critical moment in this art form.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's a martial art, right? And it's like, when should you release the arrow? And the answer, of course, is at the right time. And what should be the energy? So, like there's a
Yeah.
lot of things that go into this, right? What's the proper shot?
Yeah.
But what should be the energy? This is the guide that they have, right? What should be the energy? The same energy that snow has when it falls off a leaf because it's gotten so heavy that the angle has reached that point, right? Why does it
Yeah.
fall at that point?
Yeah.
Because it's that's time to fall. The fruit has ripened, to mix the
Yeah.
metaphor. So it's
Yeah.
like, and we can practice this in meditation, right? We can practice this by holding the breath, by taking in the breath and then holding it and then releasing it, right? And practicing that energy.
Yeah.
What are we releasing our energy into? So let's try this. Take
Yeah.
our
And
posture.
just real quick, Asatar, just because so those of us who are perfectionists and have a bit of a freeze response, I just want to say, don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. Like this old Buddhist saying, it's like it's so right. What you're saying is so right, Asatar. And then there's some of us who will totally freeze up because we'll to be too afraid that the perfect time never comes. And so
Mhm.
just really allowing yourself, if that is something you get hung up on, don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good, and just really allow yourself to express if you're getting blocked in any way. All right.
Absolutely. So breathe in, follow the steps that you've learned thus far. Make your breath deep, make your breath slow, make your breath rhythmic, heart centered, and really try to make it full as well so that when you breathe out, you're breathing out and really squeezing your abdominal muscles, breathing out as much of the air from your lungs as you can. And then when you're breathing in, you're just really feeling your belly and then feeling your chest and really just stretching yourself, stretching your breathing mechanism, your breathing machinery, your breathing equipment. None of these quite express the beauty and splendor of just taking in breath and breathing out. It's fantastic. But once you've really filled your lungs a good full breath, and you just hold that breath at the top of the inhalation. So when your lungs are full, you just hold that breath and just feel the fullness of that. Feel the power of that. Feel how it builds your power to be able to just hold that, right? In the same way that it builds the archer's power to be able to hold that shot back at full extension, right? That's when you're at full power. When you're ready, you release it. try to control the breath even as you release it. Don't let it go all at once. Try to even it out some. Keep on breathing out past that initial kind of surge of breath. Remember, you're taking in energy, you're filling your being with energy, and then you're holding that in the fullness of that vitality, of that energy, that creative potential. And you're deciding, what am I going to put this towards? Now, maybe you don't have a super precise target. Maybe you just have a direction. That's good enough. And move the energy toward that direction, even if it's very general. Still, your light is shining in the right direction. So that's good. Using your energy at the right time, right place, right direction, a way that matters to you. Create that which you want to create. That takes a lot of skill, doesn't it? I mean, that takes a lot of being familiar with your own energies, understanding them, knowing how to work with what you've got, right? You're the painter and the canvas, both. And the other thing that you gain from this exercise, of course, is just you appreciate breath more after holding it, right? It's like we're trying to understand breath from all these different angles, right? What if we breathe down in our bellies? What does that do, right? What if we breathe deep? What if we breathe slow? We breathe rhythmically. And now, what if we add this holding of the breath to the mix? What does this do, right? Hopefully, you feel that sense of that tuning up of your lungs so that when you release the holding and just breathe rhythmically, you might notice that your breath has changed in its character. You might notice that your breath flows differently. Maybe it might feel like you can breathe out more than you did before, or breathe in more than you did before. Like your lungs have been stretched and toned up. Because that does happen. Your your uh, your muscles and all of the connective tissue, the fascia, all of this is very much affected by these breathing exercises. It does open up, it does change, we know this. So the holding of the breath can be a very powerful way. Again, you're introducing a restriction. You are the one holding your breath. You're introducing this limit as an exercise to build your power so that you are in control of when you let it fly. All right, we'll end our meditation there. Let's see, do we have I want to make sure I've responded to all the comments.
Thank you, Asitar. That was lovely. I I really loved the sentiment of being the the canvas and the painter both.
Mhm.
I love that. Mm.
It's lovely to share this vibe with everyone. And, feel free to write to us if you have specific things you want us to address, or maybe things we
Mm-hmm.
didn't get to, or I don't know,
Mm-hmm.
questions or whatever. We love to answer those.
Yeah.
We won't say your name if you don't like it.
Yeah, absolutely. If you want us to cover any particular topics, or if there's questions that come up, during these sessions, let us know. We're here for you. So,
And of course, if you want to support the show, you can go to the Patreon page, like get access to a whole step-by-step course and all of that. Of course, we always do these classes. Um, these classes, we sort of go where you might notice, we go where the winds take us, So we always have a theme, but we have to be free to explore it,
that's right. It has to
Versus,
be living. It has to be living.
yeah,
Not,
versus like, a course is very structured. So, we go through and give you, step by step, right, how to do the practice and so on. I mean, we try to do that here too as well, but sometimes we go through lots of different things. So, um, all right. Well, thank
yeah.
you all so much for joining us this evening.
Yes.
Lovely to sit together as always. We're here every week,
Yeah.
7 o'clock Pacific time.
Yes. And follow me on Instagram. I look forward to being with each of you again soon.
Everyone should follow Leah on Instagram. Our Instagram's amazing.
All right. Have a lovely evening. Thank you.